What's up, folks? I have some very exciting news. Tomorrow, Saturday, May 4th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard, the live premiere for my 100,000 subscriber giveaway skydiving announcement video will go live for you all. Don't miss the premiere. Go click the video and turn on notifications and can tune in and watch it live with everyone else. Makes the giveaways so much more fun because everyone watches at the same time live instead of you watching by yourself randomly. This is the craziest video you will ever see. I promise. You do not want to miss this. Go to the video right now, turn on the notification on that specific video so you get notified when it's premiering. I'll see you there. This week's specials for Miles Franklin are 1 ounce 2023 silver Krugerrands only $3.10 over spot, along with the beautiful 1 ounce gold Australian backdated kangaroos for only $59 over spot. We have the lowest competitive pricing, weekly discounts, personal service by yours truly, one of, if not the most reputable, trusted company in the United States, and we have the largest inventory of precious metals I've personally ever seen. Once again, that's Slayer at milesfranklin.com. Now let's jump into the video. Folks, we have a lot to break down in this video. I have 5 different topics, 5 different articles that we are going to review, from what silver's doing ending the week with the non-farm payrolls closing the week at $26.78, going over sellers responding to Fed's monetary policy assessment, Goldman Sachs getting involved in a precious metals manipulation scandal with physical platinum and palladium, fading war risks pushing oil to biggest weekly drop since February. And if you guys know anything about silver and oil, they go hand in hand. So there is a lot. First, I want to say anyone that is worried about silver right now, just take advantage of these cheap prices. It's on sale right now. We know the prices are going to go back up. We know the inevitable collapse of the dollar. Do not let this type of stuff scare you. If you've been investing for longer than a year, then this stuff is a positive. You know, usually when prices drop, that's a good thing, but for a lot of newer stackers, it might be a little scary because it's new, you're not used to it. But guess what? It's just an opportunity to lower your dollar per ounce average, because who knows when we break above that $30 resistance and, you know, there's no looking back. So silver did succeed in touching our awaited target at $26 and found solid support there. Right? It shows some bullish bias and retests the neckline of the double top pattern again. Right now, the non-farm payroll stuff, it didn't really affect the price at all. Silver's still sitting around this 26, high $26, $27 area, which is very good. You might say, well, that's not that good. It was $29, a couple weeks ago. No, this is very good. $27 is still a very high price for silver to be sitting comfortably at. So silver price forecast, sellers responding to Fed's monetary policy assessment, right? Even with bad news, it still is, silver's still holding its ground. That's the thing I don't think a lot of people are realizing. Silver prices decline as investors assess Fed's policy shift. Fed's decision to maintain rates weigh on silver initially. Elevated interest rates contribute to downward pressure on silver. Then you have signaling rate cuts, the Federal Reserve's decision to hold interest rates steady on Wednesday, and its indication of a continued inclination towards eventual reductions in borrowing costs weighed on silver prices. However, independent analyst Ross Norman noted that the delay in rate cuts until later in the year initially had a bearish impact on silver, but subsequently lifted prices as the dollar weakened. And that is going to continue. The dollar is inevitably going to collapse. It cannot hold its strength. It's lost 98% of its original purchasing power, like 44% in the last 20 years. Is going to hit 100%. And what happens when that happens? It's going to happen sooner or later. You think it's just going to stay at 98% forever? No. 98% is a factual number. The dollar's lost 98% of its purchasing power. It's going to go to 99%, and it's going to go to 100%. What happens then? All I know is one thing. I can't tell anything about stocks or crypto, but I know one thing that is going to explode then, and that is precious metals. The only thing that is negatively or directly negatively correlated with the dollar index, which is precious metals. So market reaction and Fed's stance, silver prices declined as investors reacted to the Fed's stance on monetary policy, with the bearish sentiment prevailing amidst uncertainty surrounding inflation and interest rates. Spot prices surged by 1.4% on Wednesday amidst a decline in US dollar and treasury yields. Nonetheless, the market retraced nearly half of those gains in subsequent trading sessions, reflecting the volatility in the market. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell emphasized that any future interest rate adjustments would be data dependent, suggesting that an increase in rates is unlikely for the foreseeable future. Now, we have some inflation concerns. Powell's remarks on inflation highlighted the Fed's cautious approach, acknowledging that while inflation remains high, further progress in reducing it is uncertain. Fed also announced a plan to slow the pace of quantitative tightening, which is expected to gradually tighten monetary conditions. And I mean, as soon as something in the war, and by the way, people are saying like the fading war risks, is that a realistic thing in today's day and age? Because within the next week, I guarantee there's going to be a new scare, a new war scare. Something else is going to happen. That's almost guaranteed within the next week. But think about in the next month, how many different scares and how many different situations are going to blossom and bloom that's going to put everyone in a frenzy and a panic, and then they're going to go shoot right back to safe haven assets like precious metals, or Joe Biden or whoever throwing tens of billions of dollars to another country or funding another war. This all is going to continue to happen. There is no there's no near-term solution. It's only escalating, getting worse. So when you see something like this is temporarily going to dampen the price a little bit, and that's why this is a chance to take advantage of the price. This is not inevitably going to hold. It's going to collapse. It all is. That is a fact, right? I can't say fact. It's just highly, highly probable, highly, highly likely. I would be shocked. Actually, this is impossible for the dollar to just blossom. Everything goes rainbows and unicorns. All the countries shake hands and just put down the guns and do a namaste, peace walk, and everyone's singing kumbaya, and the dollar strengthens, and Russia and everyone says, you know what, we're going to drop all this brick stuff. Let's go back to the United States. And do you think that's going to happen? No. What is going to happen? Continuing escalation in all of this. And what does that mean for precious metals? It goes upwards. That's the bigger picture. You have to look at that. People look at the day-to-day, and then they are so, I get it though. Times are so stressful, and fear, uncertainty, doubt, right? There's so much worrying, and I get it. But as a realist, like I'm myself, I'm a realist. I trained myself how to take the emotions out of it and just look at things for as they are. At first, when I started, I was not like that. I was a mess. But as time goes on, you kind of build this thick skin. I think that just comes with time of being an investor. But anyways, I did want to go over this Goldman Sachs class action lawsuit tied to metals trades, because this is pretty interesting. This did come out today, May 3rd. So Goldman Sachs said on Friday, today, that it had reached an in-principle settlement to resolve a 2014 class action lawsuit related to trading in platinum and palladium. That's the interesting thing, is platinum and palladium. Usually you'll hear precious metals manipulation stuff with silver, because silver is a very small market. The investment bank was among a number of defendants named in the lawsuit, which allegedly they had violated antitrust laws by conspiring to manipulate a benchmark for physical platinum and palladium prices. The agreement is subject to final documentation and court approval, Goldman disclosed, adding that it had set aside reserves for its contribution to the settlement amount. I thought that was pretty interesting, though. I mean, what do you think about that? The only banks I've heard of manipulating the price of silver was JP Morgan and Merrill Lynch and the Dutch bank. So 3 banks. JP Morgan is always the front runner, right? They are the mascot for being the shady, most corrupt bank in the world. Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, right? He's done so much shady stuff in the past. I'll tell you a story in a second about what he did with Bitcoin, or actually, there's a couple stories about Jamie Dimon. So what they do is, first I'll explain what spoofing is, because that's what these banks get caught for. JP Morgan had to pay a $920 million fine last year. 3 of their employees got sent to prison. Michael Nowak was like the main guy. He got sent to prison. In prison, by the way, not jail. Another one for racketeering, RICO charges. But spoofing this is what they do. All 3, Merrill Lynch as well. They place false buy or sell orders on these exchanges, and then they will cancel the order before it goes through. So on the exchange, it looks like millions of, or however much money they put, a whole bunch of silver is getting bought or sold. So on the exchange, a whole bunch of volumes, there's a whole bunch of volume, and all these other investors on the exchange are saying, holy crap, a whole bunch of silver is being bought up, and then they in return start investing off of these false numbers because they don't know that that is not a real number. They don't know that those orders are about to be canceled. They don't know that. They're looking at that as, okay, there's a bunch of silver being bought or there's a bunch of silver being dumped right now. Then they invest off of those false figures. And then they will, by doing that, JP Morgan influences the rest of the investors on that exchange to do what they want. And then they cancel the order, cash out because they know that that's a flop, that's not real. Then they kind of leverage the market. They manipulate everyone else in the market to do what they want. The trickiest part about this spoofing is that you're allowed to cancel buy or sell orders, but you're not allowed to with ill intent. So how do you catch someone? Because they could just say, well, I just canceled the order. There's nothing wrong with canceling an order, right? So they could use that gray area. But so you have to look at historical patterns, and they used to just give them a slap on the wrist. It wasn't until 2020. I remember this actually when a judge came out and said they're going to start cracking down harder on spoofing, because before it was like a $20 million fine. And you're talking about a bank like JP Morgan, that's not even 3 pennies out of your pocket. $920 million fine, that's still, it's closer to $1 billion. But when you have people getting sentenced to prison, that's different, right? Anyone can pay any amount out of your bank account, barely puts a dent in it. But when your life actually is in jeopardy, when you actually might get sent to prison, you might second guess doing it. It even showed the WhatsApp messages between the group of traders, how they would laugh about it, like brag, like, look what I'm about to do to this market. And then like they showed all the WhatsApp messages between these criminals in this trading group, just ripping people off, scamming them. It was disgusting behavior, but regardless, that's what they're doing. But I also want to mention a couple of their stories about Jamie Dimon, well, JP Morgan, I should say. Jamie Dimon, actually, in particular, one of them was in 2016. I remember these specifically because I made videos and covered all this stuff. When Bitcoin was starting to gain popularity, it was right around the time like Coinbase was like the #1 downloaded app on iOS, and everyone was talking about Bitcoin, right? Because it jumped from like $800 to like $16,000. I remember this time because I was telling people to buy Bitcoin when it was $800 on this channel, by the way. So thank you very much for all the people that I made millionaires. Kidding, not kidding, but on a serious note, that back then he went on, I forget which news source, but a mainstream media like CNN or something, and said, Bitcoin is a scam. Don't buy Bitcoin. You're going to lose all your money. He went on national TV and said that. All over the media, everyone caught wind of it. It shot Bitcoin down thousands of dollars instantly. But guess what? Guess who was caught buying millions upon millions of dollars in Bitcoin right after that sharp decline? You guessed it. It was JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon. He knew that if he went on mainstream media and frightened everyone about Bitcoin, it would shoot the price down, and then he bought millions. Slayer, how do you know? Because the blockchain is decentralized. No central banks like JP Morgan can hide corrupt, shady stuff behind the scenes with crypto. The blockchain stores every transaction publicly. It's a public database. It's the opposite of a centralized system. It's decentralized. So for something to change on the blockchain, everyone has to vote for it. It's literally outside in instead of inside out, like a centralized bank. So yeah, and they got caught with a whole bunch of misprinted gold bars, like millions upon millions of dollars in misprinted gold bars, probably going to be sold like the black market or something. That's another thing I remember they got caught with doing a couple years ago. But yeah, I just wanted to shed some insight on, some stuff about that bank that I highly recommend you stay away from. But anyways, you also have fading war risks pushing oil to biggest weekly drop since February. So kind of saying what I was mentioning before, signs of easing geopolitical risks. Do you really think that everyone's just going to shake hands and start singing Kumbaya? No. It's only going to continue. And I wish people could think far enough ahead, right? I wish people could think far enough ahead to see the bigger picture of, okay, well, yeah, right now that might be happening, but I wonder in a month from now how much is going to happen. There's going to be at least 4 or 5 more big events, and then all the unknown variables. I mean, right here's a thing that shows top economic events in the United States, over the next couple of days. But just imagine in a month from now, imagine 2 months from now, imagine 4 months from now, how many things are going to happen that is most likely going to be bad, right? There's not much positive news anymore. It's most likely going to be bad, and that's going to affect precious metals. Think about how many events, and then think about the November election. I mean, it's so crazy to me that people have to let bad things happen before they say, oh, maybe I should. Like, they literally had to wait for Silicon Valley Bank to collapse before they were like, oh, maybe I shouldn't trust banks. Maybe I should put my money. Like, they wait for a disaster to happen before. They're not preparing. They're just preparing to fail, right? So anyways, I'm going to wrap the video up here. A lot happened, but remember, go check out my video tomorrow, the live premiere. Remember, folks, go click the notify me button so you don't miss the video. It's crazy. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.